A strange night in the woods. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Alex, and today I'm sharing a story that still gives me chills. This happened a few years ago when I was 19, working a summer job at a rundown diner in a small town. It was one of those places that felt stuck in time. Greasy counters, flickering neon signs, and coffee that tasted like it was brewed last week. I wasn't exactly living the dream, but it paid the bills, and my parents would have grounded me for life if I wasn't working. The diner was on the edge of town, near a stretch of woods that always felt a little too quiet. Most nights we barely had customers, which gave me plenty of time to scroll through my phone or mop the same spot on the floor for the 10th time. One night, around 1 a.m., I was wiping down tables when an online order popped up on the diner's ancient tablet. It was a simple one, a burger with fries to go for delivery. The address was weird, though, way out past the town limits, deep into the woods where nobody really lived. I hesitated, ready to cancel it because it was outside our delivery zone, but my boss, Carla, a chain-smoking woman in her 40s who was always glued to her crossword puzzles, waved me off. "Go on, kid. It's been dead all night. Just take it." I sighed, grabbed the order, and headed out to the beat-up delivery van we used. The delivery instructions were oddly specific. Park at the end of the dirt road. Walk 100 yards into the woods. Leave the food by the oak tree with a red ribbon. That raised a red flag, but I figured maybe it was some eccentric camper or a recluse who didn't like visitors. Besides, I was bored out of my mind, so I went. The air that night was thick, like breathing through a wet towel. It had that heavy, humid smell. Damp earth mixed with something sour like rotting leaves. I rolled the windows down for a bit, but the van's AC was my only saving grace. The drive took about 20 minutes, and the further I went, the fewer houses I saw. Eventually, the road turned to gravel, then dirt, and my GPS was barely keeping up. When I reached the end of the path, I parked, grabbed the food bag, and turned on my phone's flashlight. The woods were pitch black, the kind of dark that swallows light. I found the oak tree with the red ribbon tied around it, just like the instructions said. It was creepy, standing alone in a small clearing with no signs of life around. I set the bag down, feeling uneasy, and turned to head back. That's when I heard it. A rustling, like someone moving through the brush. I froze, shining my flashlight around, but saw nothing. "Hello?" I called out, my voice sounding small in the silence. No answer. I started walking back to the van, faster now, when I heard footsteps behind me. Not loud, but deliberate, like someone was matching my pace. I spun around, but the beam of my flashlight only caught trees and shadows. My heart was pounding, but I told myself it was probably an animal. I kept moving, almost jogging, until I reached the van. That's when I saw them. 3 figures standing at the edge of the clearing just outside the light. They weren't moving, just watching me. I couldn't make out their faces, but they were tall and thin, almost too thin, like they weren't quite right. I jumped into the van, locked the doors, and peeled out of there. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely steer. When I glanced, in the rearview mirror, I swear I saw one of the figures step onto the dirt road just standing there as I sped away. I didn't stop until I was back at the diner. I told Carla what happened, and she just laughed it off, saying I was probably spooked by some kids pulling a prank. But when I checked the delivery app, the order had no name, no phone number, just the address and those weird instructions. I never found out who placed it or why. The next day, I called in sick and quit a week later. I still drive past those woods sometimes, but I never stop. Something about that night felt wrong, like I stumbled into something I wasn't supposed to see. The beach house. Intruder, all right, guys. Here's another creepy one. This happened last summer when I was 38, married to my wife, Sarah, with our 2 daughters, Emma, 9, and Lily, 6. I work in real estate, which is stressful but keeps us comfortable. After my mom passed away, she left us a small beach house in North Carolina, just a short walk from the ocean. It's a cozy little place, nothing fancy. But it's got this amazing rooftop deck with a view of the waves. We started spending weekends there, and it became our family's happy place. The girls loved building sandcastles and chasing crabs, and Sarah and I loved the quiet evenings watching the sunset. Last July, we were there for a long weekend. It was a Thursday night, and the girls were fast asleep after a day of swimming. Sarah and I were on the rooftop deck, sharing a beer and playing a card game.
Ready?
Around 10 p.m., Emma came up, rubbing her eyes. She said she heard a tapping noise in her room, like something hitting the window. I figured it was a tree branch or maybe the wind rattling the old shutters. I told Sarah to stay put and followed Emma downstairs to check it out. Her room was small with a single window facing the backyard. I stood there, listening, but it was quiet at first. Emma pointed at the window and whispered, "It's there." Then I heard it. A faint, rhythmic tapping, like someone was lightly knocking on the glass. I walked over, pulled the curtain aside, and saw nothing but darkness outside. The tapping stopped the second I looked. I told Emma it was probably nothing and tucked her back into bed, but I stayed in the room for a bit longer. That's when I heard it again, only this time it wasn't coming from the window. It was coming from the closet. Slow, deliberate taps, like someone was inside testing the door. My stomach dropped. I opened the closet door, expecting to find a loose pipe or something, but it was empty except for Emma's clothes and some old board games. Then I heard a whisper. It was low, raspy, and unmistakably human, coming from the other side of the wall. I slammed the closet door shut, grabbed Emma, and ran upstairs to get Sarah and Lily. As we reached the deck, I heard heavy footsteps thumping through the house below us. I yelled for Sarah to call 911 and push the girls behind me. That's when I saw him, a man, disheveled and wild-eyed, bursting through the sliding door onto the deck. He was holding a piece of broken pipe, swinging it like a weapon. I shoved a chair between us, shouting for him to back off. He screamed something incoherent about the house being his eyes locked on mine like he didn't even see the kids. Sarah was on the phone with the police, trying to keep the girls calm. I held the chair up, ready to fight if he came closer. He lunged once but tripped over a deck table, giving me just enough time to push the girls back inside and lock the door. We barricaded it with a table and waited, listening to him pound on the glass. It felt like an eternity, but the police arrived within minutes. They tackled the guy and dragged him away. Later, they told us he'd been squatting in a hidden attic, space we didn't even know existed. There was a trap door in the laundry room ceiling covered by a panel. He'd been sneaking in and out for weeks, stealing food and watching us. The thought of him being there the whole time we were sleeping makes my skin crawl. We haven't stayed at the beach house since. I had the attic sealed off and installed security cameras, but it doesn't feel the same. The girls still talk about it sometimes, and I can tell it's left a mark on them. I don't know if we'll ever go back. The vanishing friend. This last one's from when I was 15, growing up in a rural part of Ohio. Summer was my favorite time of year. Long days, warm nights, and endless fields to explore. My best friend Mia and I used to spend every evening riding our bikes or wandering the countryside. We'd find quiet spots to just talk and soak in the freedom of being kids with no responsibilities. One night in August, Mia suggested we go to this old quarry a few miles from our houses. It was abandoned, surrounded by woods, and supposedly a great spot to see the stars. I was all in. We grabbed our bikes, a flashlight, and a couple of sodas, and headed out around 9 p.m. The ride was peaceful, just the sound of crickets and our tires crunching on the gravel. When we got to the quarry, it was exactly what Mia promised. Wide, open. No lights, just a perfect view of the night sky. We laid out a blanket, cracked open our sodas, and started looking for constellations. It was one of those nights where everything felt right, like the world was ours. We were lying there, laughing about some dumb school drama, when Mia pointed out a shooting star. We both freaked out, shouting and making wishes like kids do. I closed my eyes for a second, just to take it all in. The cool air, the stars, the moment. When I opened them, Mia was gone. Her bike, her soda, everything. Gone. My blanket was still there, my bike leaning against a rock, but Mia had vanished. I called her name thinking she was pranking me, but the quarry was dead silent. I grabbed my flashlight and spun around, scanning the edges of the clearing. Nothing. Then I noticed the air felt different, heavier, colder, like I'd stepped into a bubble. The stars didn't look as bright anymore, almost like they were fading. I checked my phone, and the time read 2:47 a.m. I could have sworn it was barely 10:30 just minutes ago. Panic hit me like a truck. I called Mia's phone, but it went straight to voicemail. I texted her, no reply. I didn't know what to do, so I hopped on my bike and rode home, heart racing the whole way. The roads felt wrong, like they were longer than they should have been. When I got home, I crashed in bed, hoping it was all a bad dream. The next morning, I texted Mia, ready to chew her out for ditching me. But she texted back, furious, asking why I left her. According to her, I was the one who disappeared. She said she'd been lying on the blanket, looked away for a second, and when she turned back, I was gone. She waited until 2:47 a.m., then biked home alone, thinking I'd bailed on her. We both swore we'd called each other, but neither of us had any missed calls or texts in our logs. We argued about it for days, trying to make sense of it, but nothing lined up. It was like we'd been in two different versions of the same night. Mia and I didn't hang out much after that. It wasn't like we fought, but something changed. I still think about that night sometimes, wondering if we slipped into something. We weren't supposed to. Maybe it was just a weird coincidence, but deep down, I know it wasn't. If you got any theories, drop them in the comments. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.